Hello and welcome to our 14th session. In our previous session, we were able to build the entire environment for our deer game, and we had a player able to move side by side whenever he or she pleases. But as this prototype is about feeding animals, the player should be able to take some food and throw it across the scene like a delicious edible frisbee. More specifically, by the end of this session, when the user presses the spacebar key, the player will fire a piece of food across the scene. To do this, we will turn our food object into something called as prefab. Prefab is short for prefabricated because a prefab is a pre-configured, pre-constructed, prefabricated object that we can reuse in the scene with all of its settings and components ready to go. Our food prefab, for example, will come prefabricated with a high speed forward velocity so that when we add it to our scene, it automatically goes flying. After we have made our food into a reusable prefab, we will instantiate it into our scene when the user presses spacebar. Instantiating is just a fancy programming word for making a new copy or clone or instance of an object. So to recap, when the user presses spacebar, we will instantiate a new food prefab, and to make all that happen, let's jump into Unity. Double click on Unity Hub to launch Unity Hub. Come into projects, and I am going to open this deer_game project which we had finished in our previous session. Now by chance if you doesn't have this project and you are starting fresh, then click on the link provided to you in the YouTube description. Come to our Patreon page, and if you scroll down, I have provided you with 14 deer game food flight star.zip file. This is around 1 GB. Click on this to download, and once it is downloaded, you can copy this into your Unity_project folder, right click, extract all the files, come into Unity Hub, and in add project from disk, browse to that extracted folder and click open. So right now I will click cancel and click on deer game to launch it. Once it is launched, we want our pizza 1, that is our food item, to move forward. This should just fly forward. To achieve this, let us come into our project panel, and in scripts, I am going to right click, click create, and create a new mono behavior script, and I am going to call this as MoveForward and press enter. Wait for the script to compile. See that the class name MoveForward and the file name MoveForward is the same. Once it is compiled, double click to open it in Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, as soon as our MoveForward mono behavior class is declared and you have the open flower bracket, I will press enter, and first I will write a comment, declare the speed variable. I am now going to declare public a float variable called speed, and I will set it to some value like 40.0f and end it with semicolon. As soon as the game starts, I will come into the update code block. I am now going to add another comment, move the object forward along with z-axis at the speed meters per second. I will come here and type transform.translate. In translate, I am going to first give the direction vector3 forward multiplied by time into delta time, so that the movement or this update happens every second instead of every frame, and then I will multiply it by the speed value. I will go to file, save it, come back to Unity, allow the script to compile. I have to drag this script and attach it to pizza 1. So now if I select pizza 1, you have MoveForward script and the speed is set to 40. Now if I execute the game and check it, as soon as I play, you can see the pizza fly, and if I just turn around and show it, see it keeps on flying. You can see the value. So it keeps on flying 40 units per second. And it keeps on going. I will stop the playback. We have this pizza 1 which is flying forward as we play the game. I want this pizza 1 to be repeatedly added in my scene whenever my player presses the space button. I want this pizza to fly. So we need multiple copies of this pizza to appear whenever the space bar is pressed. We are now going to convert this pizza 1 into another prefab. You already know that in course library, if you come here into food, you have here food pizza 1. We added this to the scene, and to this we added the script MoveForward. And after we added the script, with this script we are going to create a new prefab. I will close this course library, and in asset I will right click and I am going to create a new folder, and I will call this as my prefabs. And then I will select this pizza 1 and drag it into my prefabs folder. Then you get a dialog box here, create prefab or variant. There are two ways of now creating this prefab. Whether this prefab is totally a new prefab means we choose original prefab. But if this prefab is a variant of the original one, which we have already used it here, we use prefab variant. But right now I will choose original prefab. If I come to file and save this, I will just tilt up a little here to see the player. I will play the game. When the game is playing, if I drag this pizza onto my scene, you can immediately see whenever I drag and leave, it keeps flying. See, any number of copies, I can drag and leave it. So as soon as I leave it, it starts flying. However, my original prefab here in course library food, whatever pizza 1 was there, if I drag it and keep it, this is not going to fly. This is the difference between the prefab that we created now and the originally supplied prefab. I will stop the playback. Now coming to project control panel, I will close course library and coming into my prefab. Instead of dragging this prefab into the scene to make it fly, I now want this pizza to fly whenever the user clicks on the spacebar. To achieve this, I first now has to come into the player, and the player already has one player control script attached to it. I am going to come into script player controls, double click to open it. After we have declared our last variable public bound value, which we declared it in our previous session, I will press enter and add two forward slashes. I am going to declare a game object variable to hold our projectile, and I will press enter and I am going to call this as public game object. Here G is capital. I will call this as projectile and I am going to end it with semicolon. Now I will come here to file and save this, and if I now come back to Unity, allow the script to compile, and once it is compiled, if you come into the player, you can now see that my player control has a new parameter added projectile. And now I will come into my project window, and in my prefabs, whatever new prefab pizza 1 I had created, I will just drag it into the projectile here. To add the condition that when a spacebar is pressed, I will come here into the script, select the player control script, double click to open it. I am now going to come into the update, and we already have two if statements here, and below this, after this transform.translate, I will press enter and I am going to call a new if statement, and in open close bracket I will put the condition, then I will add open close flower brackets, and inside this the code that will be executed when this condition is true. Now here the condition I am now going to get is, I am going to call my input component, and in that you have a component called as get key down. This means that which key is pressed. You have say get key down, get key up, you have various options. I select get key down, and in open close bracket, now I have to declare which key is pressed. Here to add it, I am going to call another method called as key code, and if I press spirit, you can see all the keys present in my keyboard is listed here. I will come in this list and I am going to select space. So if input get key down is equal to key down space, then I will come here into my if code block and I will add two forward slashes, add comment launch projectile from player. Now let us type the actual code. I will press enter, and now I am going to call a new method, and this is called as Instantiate. And instantiate is a method which is going to create a copy of our game object, and in open close bracket I have to now first declare what object has to be instantiated. This we have already declared it as projectile here. So I am going to call this projectile and I will end it with comma. Then at what position it has to be instantiated. So for that I will call transform position. It should be instantiated at the position of my player. I will add comma. I should also set its rotation, and rotation I will set it to my projectile rotation. So I will call projectile, and in projectile I will call the component transform, and in that I will set the rotation. I will come out of the bracket and end it with semicolon. So we have instantiated our game object projectile, and its position of instantiation is the position of my player, but its rotation is the rotation of my projectile object. Now if I go into file and if I save this and if I come back to Unity, wait for the script to compile. Now if you come here into the player, we have already attached pizza 1 to our projectile, and if I execute the game, and as the game is running, we had added one foot projectile, it flew away. Now here A and D will move my player left and right, and now if I press space, see automatically my pizza is getting fired. As I am moving, if I press the space, you can see my pizza is getting fired. I will stop the playback. With our player and food components ready, I will come into the hierarchy and I will select this pizza 1 and I will delete it. Then I want these animals also to move forward. The animals are in the opposite direction to my player. So I will select moose 1, and along the y axis I will rotate it by 180 degree. Similarly, I will select fox 1 and I am going to rotate it by 180 degree, and I am going to select doe 1 and rotate it by 180 degree. And now to move them, I need not create another new script because we already have the move forward script here. If I attach it, it starts moving. So I can select moose 1 and with shift press fox 1 and doe 1. I select all the three and I will drag this move forward script into my inspector. All these animals are not moving at the same speed. Now moose travels at a faster speed, so I will set its speed to around 15, and for fox I will keep it slow at around 5, and for doe I will keep a speed of about 10. If I come into the file, save it, and if I execute the game, you can now see they are moving at different speeds. Now I will stop the playback. These animals also will be getting instantiated or spawning as the game keeps moving. So this is not just 3 animals, there will be multiple animals coming continuously. So I have to convert all these 3 into prefab. So I will select moose 1, fox 1 with shift press, doe 1 with shift press. I drag all the 3 into my prefabs folder here and choose original prefab. So now you can see moose 1, fox 1, doe 1 added as my prefab. And now you can see when I select doe 1 in the inspector, you can see it as a prefab asset. And on the right side you have one open button. If I click on the open button, see this particular prefab is now open and it has the move forward script attached, and I can see it in the scene view. Only this particular prefab is open in the scene view. So now once I have reviewed it, I can click on the arrow here back to come back to my main scene. I will come to file, save it. I will now play the game. So in the scene view, I will right click and turn on the other way so that I can see it at the back of the player. With middle mouse, I will tilt like this. And now if I drag doe here, see it starts running. If I drag moose 1, see it starts moving. And if I drag this fox, it starts. So now I will stop the playback. In this game, one issue we have is if I play the game and now if I press the space and fire this pizzas, see now what is happening is the number of copies of this pizza is getting added. this keeps on adding. Actually what I want is, once the pizza is fired, I want this to get destroyed. So once it crosses the screen, this game object should be removed from my scene. We use a function called as destroy object, and I have to call it. So I will stop the playback, and where I am going to call this is, for this moves everyone, we have added this move forward script. So I will come into this move forward script, double click to open this. After my public float speed, I am going to press enter, add to forward slash. Comment I am going to add is declare boundary variable, and I am going to declare a public float, and I am going to call this as boundValue, and I will set its value to something like 30.0f and end it with semicolon. When the game is playing, as soon as any of the instantiated object crosses this boundValue, it has to get destroyed. I will come into this update, and after this transform.translate line, I will press enter twice and add forward slash one comment. If object goes out of bounds, destroy it. I will press enter, and I am going to use a if statement. I will call this if statement, and in open close brackets, I will then press space, press open close flower brackets, and inside this flower bracket I will add the code, but first I have to declare the condition. The condition is, when the transform position z value, if it is greater than my bound value. So if you come into Unity, when I have applied this to my food pizza 1, the pizza 1 will be moving in positive x value, but my animals, if you choose, when they are moving, they will be moving in the negative z value. I will edit, undo the movement. I will come back to my Visual Studio Code. When the transform.position value is more than the bound value, or for R in C#, we don't write R directly like this. We are going to write vertical lines, and these two vertical lines are above your right enter key. With shift pressed, if you add it, this is the R sign in C#. I will press space, and I will again call this transform.position.z, and if it is less than, now I have to use minus bound value. So if the value goes below the bound value on the negative side or above the bound value on the positive side, then what should happen? In the if statement, I am now going to call destroy, and what should get destroyed? In open close parenthesis, I want to destroy game object. Here G is small letter, come out of the bracket and end it with semicolon. And now if I come to file and if I save this, I will now come back to Unity, and once the script is compiled, if I execute the game and check it, see when the animals are moving, you can see the animals are moving, and after it crosses the bound, see it got destroyed. Now you can see all the animals are destroyed here. Now I will come into the game view, and when I fire my pizza, you can now see as soon as it goes, it is getting destroyed. See, now as I fire it, see, you can see it is getting destroyed. We doesn't accumulate unwanted game object in our hierarchy. If I drag this fox and put it on the scene, see the fox moves, and once it crosses 30, see it gets destroyed. See, it got destroyed. Similarly, if I move the moose here, see it moves, and once it crosses 30, it gets destroyed. So this logic is now working fine. I will stop the playback, come into the file and save it. With this, we are going to conclude this session, and in our next session, we want these animals appear in the scene randomly as the game progresses. We are going to understand this random function in our next session.